Welcome back. You are tuned in to Traders Nation. My pleasure to have with us here today book author Andy Normand, authored Pow! Right Between the Eyes, Profiting from the Power of Surprise. Andy, welcome to Traders Nation. How are you today?
Things are great, Chris. Thank you. That's the best pow I've heard yet.
How you like that, Andy?
Man, I almost thought it was a sound effect.
No, just me. But you know what? I can relate to this book because after 20-something years as an entrepreneur in business, I love this book, and I love the fact that the information that you have in there is absolutely fantastic. We're going to give out the information at the end of this so everybody can get a copy for themselves. But Andy, let me ask you, in the midst of this recession, what's a good way for marketers, advertisers, and even entrepreneurs to capture consumers' attention?
Well, I got to tell you, that's why I'm such a proponent of surprise, because right now, especially now, you need to go ahead and cut through the clutter. Surprise is really the difference between people saying, "You're holy geez," or "Who cares, ho hum."
Right.
I got to tell you, I don't care who you are, whatever business you may be in, whether you're a massive multinational or a small retailer, every business works better with a holy geez than a who cares these days.
Yeah, you really got to wow them, don't you? I mean, you really got to come out and say, "Wow, I wasn't expecting that."
Exactly, but more importantly, Kurt, rather than doing it once, it's a continuum, because anybody can go ahead and pull some sort of stunt to get people to say, "Wow," one time.
Sure.
It's that continuum to say, "Okay, what are these guys going to think of next?" Because you know what, it's not just business. And as somebody, as an entrepreneur, and somebody who reports on business on a daily basis, you know that it's not just business. There's a relationship between a business and a customer that needs to be generated and strengthened.
Sure.
And the foundation, surprise is a key element to a long-lasting relationship. And the way I usually make this point, because people say, that really, I can't really see it. Just think of the relationship you have with your significant other.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, everything was cool. You all learn these things about each other. But then, after a few years, it's okay. It's all ho hum. Yeah, all right. It's the same old, same old. Surprise keeps the spark in any relationship, particularly a business relationship, and keeps the customers coming back for more and keeps them buying.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Andy, I've been married for 24 years with my wife for 27 years, I think, or something like that, and I still wow her.
That's why I come home in women's clothes sometimes.
Now, Andy, that's TMI. Andy, seriously.
I'm kidding around, but seriously speaking, that surprise, what are they going to think of next? What is what can you do to make that customer, bound to you? That's
right.
The key point.
Andy, that would wow them, that's for sure. All right, now, it's pretty critical to shock who our audience is going to be, if you will. But also, too, isn't it timing when to launch a campaign involved?
Timing is very important, and sometimes, timing is a part of the shock value. I remember the early days of this. I remember the lineups outside Tower Records on Sunset Strip in L.A. when there still was a Tower Records and there still were records.
Right.
But rather than go ahead, and you said the timing, people would go ahead and release an album at midnight. So suddenly, rather than just walk into a store in an afternoon, people were lining up at midnight, and it became a party. It became an event, and it worked for a while. But after a while, everybody started to go ahead and launch their albums at midnight, so it lost the glow. And that's one thing about surprise. You've got to keep it fresh and new.
Yeah.
Try to do the same surprise twice is like trying to light a firecracker that's been exploded and try and get a bang out of it.
Yeah,
it doesn't happen.
Yeah, you can't tell the same joke over and over and over. Sooner or later, that joke is no longer funny.
Exactly the point. I'm happy you bring that up because my background was in developing the world's largest comedy festival, just the last festival in Montreal.
Yeah.
And right now it has 2 million people who visit every year, and I learned a lot about the element of surprise by watching what comedians did on stage.
Yeah.
Because surprise has so much to do with the joke. You lead people down a path. You think you're taking path A at the fork of the road, but you're actually taking down path B. They think they're going path A, they're taking down path B. That euphoria you get, that sort of euphoria when you hit the punchline or when you hit the surprise in business, at that moment, you're really able to go into a person's psyche and sell them. All the defenses are dropped.
Yeah, isn't that the gotcha factor?
100%. Well, I think there's a good point of it, the gotcha factor.
Yeah.
But it's like everyone's surprise democratizes by kidifying us.
Yeah.
What it does, just think of the feeling you get It's a cross between that feeling you get when you have the three cherries on a slot machine, and when you're in Disneyland. And it's one of the main theories of the book, where everyone's a kid in Disneyland.
Sure.
I don't care if you're a CEO of a company. I don't care how rich you are. I don't care if you're coming from a trailer park. When you're in Disneyland, you're equal because you have that euphoria, that kidism. And that's what Surprise does. It takes you back to that time and basically strips away all the negativity, all the cynicism, and brings you back to that childlike state when it's easy to sell somebody something.
Right, all right. So now during these times, and we all know, there's a lot of contraction going on. Companies that are in the process of surviving, let alone thriving. So with that in mind, how can we get a big pow out of a limited budget? Is that possible?
Little things mean a lot in Surprise. Again, that's one of the four main theories. I'll give you a quick anecdote.
Okay.
A couple Christmases ago, I was standing in a huge line at a bookstore, waiting to buy some books and some gifts. A massive line. And what they did, somebody tapped me on the back, and I thought somebody wanted to push in, but it was a girl from the store, and she said, I know it's a long lineup, sir, but here, would you like some chocolates just to help you take your mind off the line?
Right.
And I was a little stunned. I said, well, thank you very much. I passed on the chocolates because I'm like some health food fanatic. Yeah. But I was just amazed at what this bookstore did. A bookstore called Chapters. Yeah. The fact of the matter is, it cost them $10. It cost them $10. It delighted all those people in line. They started talking to each other. They totally forgot the fact that they were waiting in line. And here, 2 years later, I'm mentioning it on your radio show.
Right.
So look at the payback from the $10 they spent on chocolate.
Oh, residual, time after time after time. And that brings up a time. I had a print firm, the 8th largest in the state of Arizona, and with every order that went out, Andy, we would put a piece, 2, 3 pieces of hard candy. We buy it by the pounds in every order that went out, okay? And if we ran out, we were in trouble. Why? Because the clients would call and say, where's our candy? Okay, so same thing.
It's little things mean a lot, and it does. You don't have to spend multi-million dollars on budgets to do this.
Sure.
Another great example is a company called Bare Naked, a granola company, and they went door to door on Halloween and gave people a treat. It's not easy to sell things door to door; those days are over. But the one night when you can actually go door to door without raising suspicion, they did it, and they said rather than give a treat, we're going to give you a treat on Halloween. It cost them tens of thousands of dollars, not hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
It got them, millions of dollars worth of publicity and orders.
Right, and here we are talking about it.
Once again. So little things do mean a lot in the realm of Surprise. It's more about guts, Kurt, than it is about budgets. Actually, that's the third theory is, balls beat brains, balls beat budgets. It's having the guts to do something and to do something different that people will talk about. And it may blow up in your face, but better it blows up in your face than you do nothing.
Right, all right. So without a doubt, Surprise is really pertinent to selling a product, to get your product recognized out there, and to really kind of brand your company, too, with that product. All right, so what's the first step? We got about a minute and a half. What's the first step for getting together a program? Is it a creative team? What?
It's an objective. Say, what are we trying to do right now with this? What are we trying to do,
right.
And who are we trying to reach? But basically, in the end, it's sitting around with a creative team, and sometimes it doesn't have to be necessarily the most creative people, the most gutsy people, I would
sure.
say, and say, no, what do we do to make an impact? How do we get this product into people's minds, hearts, and souls and make an impact? And usually, it's the craziest idea that wins. But I got to tell you, that's what has to be done to cut through the clutter. Otherwise, you're not getting through, and if you're not getting through, you're not making that sale. And you know what happens when you don't make that sale.
That's right. The game's over.
Exactly.
Right.
And you know what? Game over is not what you want to see on a video game nor on your balance sheet.
That's right. Unless you reach all the way to the end, Andy. All right?
Yeah. Well, good luck to you then. That's when you sell it off to a massive conglomerate, but there ain't too many of those around these days.
That's correct. Yeah. All right. Now, Andy, where can we get a copy of POW Right Between the Eyes?
Available on Amazon.com and CEO Read, 800 CEO Read. That's a business book site, but Amazon has it obviously at Borders, Barnes & Noble,
right.
Books A Million, but usually Amazon.com where people go first.
All right, fantastic. Amazon.com, wherever your favorite books, where you buy your books from. Local Book Corner store, too. The guy in the corner, support him. Wherever it's most convenient for anybody, just as long as you get a copy today of POW Right Between the Eyes, profiting from the power of surprise. I love it. Now, Andy, do you have a website?
Yes, AndyNulman.com, ANDYNULMAN, no spaces, or you just look up Powell, and Powell right between the eyes on the web, and obviously I'm the first thing that comes up on search.
Fantastic. All right, everybody get a copy today, and of course, Andy Nulman's our book author today. Andy, we do appreciate your time and your expertise.
I appreciate you more than you appreciate me, Kurt. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. All right, Powell, right between the eyes. Get a copy today. All right, great read, good information.